Welcome to Brand New Employee Environment, Health, and Safety Orientation. This applies to all brand operating companies, including but not limited to Brand Energy Solutions, Brand Energy Services, Illuma Systems, CP Masters, Industrial Specialty Services, Industrial Specialists, as well as any other affiliated organizations, subcontractor, or vendor. At the completion of this course, you should be able to recall the rules and policies in the Code of Conduct to promote a safe work environment, discuss brand safety philosophy, describe the safety responsibilities of all employees, and state the disciplinary policy used for violation of rules. Safety is a prime concern at Brand. We are not just a construction company with a safety program, we are a safe company. Safety is everyone's responsibility and is integrated into all work tasks. Accident prevention is the cornerstone of our safety program. We believe that all incidents are preventable. All incidents must be thoroughly investigated to avoid a recurrence. At Brand, we have an uncompromising commitment to preserving the safety, health, and wellness of our employees, customers, other contractors, and the public. Through steadfast cooperation and consultation with our employees, Brand is committed to ensuring everyone's right to work in a safe and healthy environment is realized. Brand is also committed to ensuring that we will only work in an environmentally sound manner to protect the environment for generations to come. At Brand, our culture of caring will inspire the establishment of safe and healthy work environments, the promotion of safe behavior, and the proactive elimination of hazards. Our management team, supervisors, and employees are committed to enabling excellent EHS performance from our employees by providing specialized training, proper equipment, and industry-leading practices. Empowering employees to ensure Brand provides safe products and services to our customers, to participate in our EHS successes, and to reinforce safe work practices and behaviors. By observing and auditing our workplaces and human performance, including reinforcing positive behaviors and intervening as needed to ensure EHS objectives and ideals are achieved. Monitoring our EHS performance using leading and lagging indicator data, trend analysis, employee input, health and safety committee feedback, and industry best practices. Communicating our EHS performance results in corrective actions and preventative measures to employees, customers, and other stakeholders. Improving our EHS program and processes continuously to maintain industry-leading performance. Company rules apply equally to all employees. Action must be taken every time a rule is not followed. Rules are non-negotiable and a condition of employment. If there is a conflict between brand policy and client requirements, the more stringent of the two shall apply. It is everyone's responsibility to intervene whenever they see an unsafe act or condition. All new employees and temporary employees must successfully complete one or more of the following: a computer-based new employee orientation, or a new employee orientation documented with the orientation checklist completed by a supervisor or safety personnel. Additionally, the safety handbook for new employees shall also be distributed for reference purposes. All employees will receive a copy of the Brand Safety Orientation Handbook. Once you have successfully completed the quiz, sign and date the form on the last page. This will be filed as part of your personnel record. Temporary employees must also complete the new hire orientation.
Safety in the workplace is a shared responsibility. All personnel must understand what their responsibilities are, including managers, supervisors, and employees. Management incorporates all personnel responsible for major work units, including the CEO, presidents, division managers, project and functional managers. Management responsible for multiple sites. This does not include those who directly supervise site personnel. Management responsibilities include being familiar and complying with the EHS manual. Ensure all under their direction comply with all company programs, policies, and procedures. Discipline for all violations of company policies and procedures, and ensure incident investigations are conducted. Supervisors are individuals who are directly responsible for supervising workers. They include site and yard supervisors, foremen, and lead hands. Supervisors' responsibilities include being familiar and complying with the EHS manual, attend all training as scheduled, report and investigate incidents and near misses in a timely manner, correct any unsafe acts or conditions, prepare mandatory job safety plans, ensure employees comply with the company policies and procedures, and discipline for all violations of company policies. Employees are individuals not supervising others with only personal responsibility for compliance with the EHS manual. Employee responsibilities include being familiar and complying with all company policies and procedures, attend all training as scheduled, report all injuries, incidents, and/or near misses, and stopping work if it is clearly unsafe and immediately notifying your supervisor. The Code of Safe Conduct is a set of rules and policies to ensure a safe workplace. Employees failing to abide by the rules will result in disciplinary action and possible termination. Employees are personally responsible for their conduct, whether at a project or company facility, at all times. They must comply with all provisions of the safety program. Violation of company rules could result in disciplinary action against the employee. All disciplinary action will be documented and included in the employee's personnel file. It is everyone's responsibility to intervene whenever they see an unsafe act or condition. A progressive disciplinary policy is in place to warn employees of violations. The company reserves the right to bypass any of these steps depending upon the seriousness of the violation. First violation is a verbal warning issued for non-serious violations. The second violation is a written warning and/or time off without pay for serious violations. A third violation could be a written warning, time off without pay, or even possibly discharge. All these are dependent upon the seriousness and repetitive nature of the violation. Absenteeism. Employee attendance and tardiness will be monitored. Notify your supervisor or site office prior to the start of shift, or your absence will be considered unauthorized. Horseplay, practical jokes, fighting, or similar behavior is strictly prohibited. Possession of firearms or weapons is strictly prohibited at brand job sites and may result in immediate termination. It is strictly forbidden to leave the work area without notifying your supervisor. Smoking is permitted in designated areas only. Check with your supervisor for the appropriate area. Employees are responsible for maintaining a clean and healthy environment. Trash, recyclables, scrap, and hazardous chemicals and materials are to be placed in the appropriate containers. Employees should not handle or tamper with machinery, tools, or equipment outside the scope of their regular duties. Repairs to damaged equipment and machinery should be made only by qualified personnel. Employees should not make adjustments or modifications to safety devices or guards installed on equipment at any time. No loose or frayed clothing, jewelry such as rings, watches, necklaces, bracelets, or dangling earrings, no untucked shirts, ties, or unsecured shoulder-length hair will be permitted around any moving machinery or scaffolding. Report any damaged equipment, inoperative safety devices, or equipment problems to your supervisor. Non-conforming equipment or products should be tagged and removed from service immediately. Employees must use the proper tool designed for the task being performed. For example, no cheater pipes are allowed to be used at any time. In addition to these rules, employees working at locations other than brand property are responsible for learning and following all rules and regulations set by that facility. Employees must review material safety data sheets before working with any hazardous substance. Employees must be aware of and follow all traffic regulations.
Employees must notify their supervisor immediately if for any reason they feel they are not mentally and/or physically able to perform their job safely. This may include being very fatigued, personal, financial, or family stressors, or even a new or previously undisclosed medical condition. We do not require specific details. We just need to ensure that we are protecting the health and safety of everyone to the best of our ability. At Brand, employees are responsible to stop any task or operation where concerns regarding control of EHS risk exist and immediately report stop work conditions to their supervisor. Employees are also responsible to intervene in any unsafe acts or conditions they observe when they believe the assigned task is dangerous either to their own health and safety or that of any other person. No work will resume until all work stop issues and concerns have been adequately addressed. Employees will not be reprimanded when a legitimate work refusal is exercised under this policy.
Supervisors will assure that employees receive all necessary training to perform their job in a safe and proper manner. Employees working in situations where there are specialized requirements must have the appropriate training and follow all applicable regulations and permit requirements. Some examples of these are near energized powered lines, in confined spaces, or wherever fall protection is required. Employees should not operate power equipment, machinery, or tools unless trained and authorized to do so. Each level of training provided must be signed for by the employee as having received it. The signed and dated form is kept on file as part of your permanent training record. Refresher training will be required when safety issues need to be addressed, job assignments change, new processes create new hazards, or as determined by the Health and Safety Committee. Many of our policies and procedures require an annual refresher. New employees who will be working at a client job site must go through a separate site-specific orientation prior to performing work at that site. All employees will follow both client and brand rules and procedures. In the event of differences, the more stringent of the two shall be followed. Every employee has the right to know about possible exposure to hazardous materials in the workplace. The Environmental Health and Safety Manual provides information on the types of materials being used, how to review the labels, precautions taken when working with those materials, and the cleanup and storage after use. Training is required before working with any hazardous material. Lead paint has been used for a rust inhibitor for centuries. It is still found on existing structures such as industrial facilities, building I-beams, and bridge trusses. From an occupational health standpoint, dry lead paint that is intact poses little, if any, hazard. The hazard arises when the lead coating is disturbed in some way. In construction projects, this disturbance may occur when welding, burning, grinding, cutting, or abrasive blasting is being performed on painted steel. All coatings must be tested prior to performing any work on coated surfaces. Any personnel working with coatings containing lead must be fully trained in lead abatement and be under medical surveillance. Asbestos has been used for thousands of years. It is found in many forms: insulation, gaskets, asphalt roof coatings, acoustical coatings, fireproofing, cements, and mastics, just to name a few. We can come in contact with asbestos from thermal insulation on furnaces, boilers, piping, as well as fireproofing on I-beams, floor tile, and mastics. Asbestos becomes hazardous when it has been disturbed by cutting, abrading, or crushing, and fibers are released into the air. When these fibers are inhaled or ingested, they can cause lung cancer or mesothelioma, a cancer of the lining surrounding the lungs. All thermal service insulation, fireproofing, transite, and vinyl floor tile that is not marked as non-asbestos must be treated as asbestos until bulk samples can be analyzed to show there is no asbestos present. Only personnel trained and qualified through an EPA-accredited training organization and under medical surveillance are authorized to handle or remove asbestos. Planning is essential for the safe execution of any task. Failure to recognize and mitigate hazards can lead to injuries, fatalities, accidents, damage to equipment, and disruption of normal activities. Hazard assessment tools are used to reduce the risk of incidents. The tools to be used are Job Safety Plan, Task Safety Analysis, and Pre-Job Hazard Assessment. The JSP is an integral part of incident prevention. It is to be completed and signed by all members of a work crew prior to starting any new task to ensure that all hazards have been identified, communicated, and controlled. The JSP is also to be signed by the supervisor or foreman in a timely manner to ensure accuracy. The JSP should be revised if conditions change. There are three fundamental principles to consider when addressing a fall hazard. Elimination, removing the hazard altogether. Prevention, remove the need to rely on personal protective equipment, and control, reduce the risk of injury from a fall. A personal fall arrest system is a system used to arrest an employee's fall. Fall protection consists of a safety harness, a shock-absorbing lanyard with a locking snap hook attached to a suitable anchorage point. Wearing protective and safety equipment is not optional. It is a condition of your employment. Fall arrest systems must always be attached to a suitable anchorage point capable of withstanding the forces involved with arresting a fall. In most jurisdictions, fall arrest anchorage points must be able to withstand at least 5,000 pounds, or the approximate weight of a pickup truck. Requirements for anchorage points may vary in certain jurisdictions. Always know and follow the requirements as they apply in your jurisdiction. Do not anchor to scaffolding structures or any scaffolding components unless trained and authorized to do so. Never, under any circumstances, anchor your fall arrest equipment to any unsupported scaffold components. The Brand Fall Protection Program is designed to protect the employee from fall hazards and enable the employee to safely perform the task at hand. Brand's policy is 100% fall protection while working at heights to help eliminate, prevent, and control fall hazards. Failure to tie off as required by brand or customer tie-off policy will result in immediate dismissal. Direct supervisor or crew members working directly with an employee in violation of brand or customer tie-off policy and who did not try to intervene to influence the worker to tie off will also be subject to immediate dismissal. Personal protective equipment generally falls into two categories: basic and specialized. Basic personal protective equipment consists of hard hats, safety glasses and other eye protection, and work boots. Specialized personal protective equipment may be required for protection from specific hazards. These consist of protective gloves to eliminate hand or finger injury, shirts that cover shoulders and arms to protect from cuts, scrapes, and contusions, chemical goggles when handling chemicals, grinding, or needing protection from flying particles, impervious rubber gloves to eliminate chemical exposure, and welder's bibs, welder's gloves, and appropriate eye protection. Respirator protection may consist of dust respirator when working in a non-hazardous dust condition, escape respirator, half-face respirator, full-face respirator, and supplied air. Respiratory protection is used to prevent employees from breathing air contaminated with gases, aerosols, vapors, dust, or fumes. Before performing jobs that require the use of a full-face, half-face, or dust mask respirator, you must be properly trained, medically qualified, fit tested, and clean-shaven. Refer to the EHS Handbook for more information on proper selection, care, maintenance, and storage of respiratory protection. Hearing protection is required when employees are exposed to sound levels of 85 decibels or more for an extended period of time. Warnings will be posted if hearing protection is required. Refer to the EHS Handbook for the proper selection, fitting, and maintenance of hearing protection. Prevent back injuries and strain by using safe lifting strategies. Safe lifting strategies include using mechanical lifting devices for heavy objects. Use dolly trucks where practical. Use the legs for lifting, not the back. Push loads away. Never pull them towards you. And finally, never hesitate to ask for assistance. In extreme hot temperatures, drink plenty of fluids. Avoid caffeinated beverages. They tend to dehydrate the body. Acclimate slowly to allow your body to adapt. You may use work-rest schedules in extreme conditions. Age, race, and physical fitness all make a difference. Remember, people respond differently to temperature extremes. Be aware of heat-related symptoms. Heat rash, heat cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Exposure to extreme cold can injure the surface of the body, causing tissue damage. It can also cause general body cooling that can be fatal. In extreme cold temperatures, wear appropriate clothing. Layer loose-fitting clothing. Cover head and ears. Wear mittens instead of gloves if practical. Stay dry. Wetness contributes to heat loss. And limit your length of exposure to extreme cold. A confined space is defined as a space that is large enough that an employee can enter and perform assigned work, has limited openings for entry or exit, and is not designed for continuous employee occupancy. These spaces may contain various hazards. Whenever working in a confined space, you must follow all confined space entry procedures. Plan and discuss work with all involved personnel. Never enter a confined space unless the appropriate tests have been done, a valid permit has been issued, and all entrants and attendants have been properly trained. All employees involved in confined space work are required to have more detailed training. Refer to the EHS manual for more information. Brand has established a program consisting of energy control procedures and employee training to ensure the safety of any employee performing service or maintenance on a machine or equipment where the unexpected energizing, startup, or release of stored energy could occur and cause injury. The machine or equipment shall be isolated and rendered inoperative in accordance with the energy control procedure of this program. The lockout-tagout process consists of isolating the hazardous energy source, affixing the lockout device and tag to the equipment, ensuring the lockout and isolation method is preventing the accidental startup or release of stored energy, removal of lockout device at the end of the shift or when the task is complete. Operations shall keep a list of all equipment and the appropriate method for isolation and lockout. The proper use, erection, and dismantling of scaffolds will reduce the potential for injury. Before working on any scaffold project, all scaffold users must have received scaffold training. A competent person must supervise the erection, dismantling, or altering of any scaffold. All employees erecting, dismantling, or altering scaffolds should be competent in the trade. Refer to the Environmental Health and Safety Manual for additional information. The proper use, care, and storage of hand tools will increase the life of the tool and reduce the potential for injury. When using hand tools, make sure to select the right tool for the job. Inspect the tool before each use. Do not use if handles have splinters, cracks, or splits. Do not use electrical tools with damaged cases or cords. Cut or chisel away from the body. Do not lift or lower power tools by their cord or their hose. And store the tools properly after each use. Training may be required prior to using hand or power tools depending on the work to be performed and the level of skill and experience of the new employee. All workers will be responsible for inspecting products in the yard and field. You will learn how to identify damaged or non-conforming products, how to tag them and remove them from use, and how to quarantine contaminated goods. Refer to the Environmental Health and Safety Manual for additional information. A neat, orderly workplace eliminates the risk of injuries through slips, trips, falls, fire hazards, and loss of valuable equipment. Here are some general housekeeping rules. Dispose of trash and unwanted materials immediately. Don't allow them to accumulate. Keep your work areas neat and orderly. Store tools, equipment, and supplies properly. Never block aisles, walkways, exits, or emergency apparatus. Remove or bend any protruding nails in lumber. Clean spills immediately. Only qualified brand employees are allowed to operate a brand-owned or leased vehicle. All passengers must wear seat belts. All vehicles must have a proof of insurance card in the vehicle. Large company trucks and forklifts will have a backup warning system. Personal use of company vehicles is strictly forbidden. A motor vehicle report will be conducted for all drivers of company vehicles. An MVR must be evaluated before a new driver is allowed to operate a company vehicle. Additionally, an MVR will be conducted annually for all drivers. Any accidents involving company vehicles must be reported to employee's supervisor as soon as possible. All brand locations have site-specific emergency plans in place. Emergencies may involve injury to brand employees or others, natural disasters, fires, explosions, or other natural or man-made hazards. In case of emergency, hotline numbers are available 24 hours a day. Immediately call for help if someone collapses or is injured. Follow the 6-step protocol when serious personal injury or emergency occurs. Stop work immediately and evacuate the job site or work area. Secure the area. Call plant or site emergency services or 911. Provide aid to any injured persons. Call the Brand 24-hour emergency hotline. And always notify the branch manager. In case of emergency evacuation, you should be familiar with the alarm signals, the routes from the work area, and the assembly and staging areas. This emergency evacuation should be practiced frequently. Employees should report all incidents to their supervisor immediately, no matter how minor. The supervisor is responsible for investigating and reporting the following information to management: incidents that result in injury or illness, incidents that had the potential to cause property damage, interrupt operations, or cause environmental damage, all near misses and close calls. Corrective action must be taken immediately to ensure a safe work environment. It is important that all personnel report any unsafe conditions, acts, hazards, and near misses to their supervisor or site safety representative immediately. Report all injuries or illnesses to your supervisor immediately. Failure to report injuries or illnesses could result in delay or loss of workers' compensation benefits. Brand has an extensive return-to-work program in the event an employee is injured on the job. The employee will be offered modified duties and will be accommodated until full duties can be resumed. Each worker must complete a formal modified duty agreement. Failure to follow the guidelines of the program may result in denied benefits. The employee must immediately report an incident to their supervisor and communicate regularly with someone from the company throughout the program. Appropriate documentation will be required, including doctor's notes, workers' compensation, and insurance forms. The employee must attend all scheduled medical appointments and make a sincere effort to return to full duty. Brand provides a safe and healthful workplace. If an employee is injured, Brand will provide the very best medical care and offer modified employment if that employee is unable to perform their regular duties due to a work-related injury. This may be a modification of the original position with alternate duties. Employees are required to participate in this program. Any form of harassment, discrimination, and retaliation is strictly prohibited and will not be tolerated. Common forms of harassment or discrimination includes sex or gender discrimination, race or national origin, disability, both physical and mental, religion, marital or pregnancy, age discrimination, and sexual orientation. Maintaining a culture that respects the contributions and dignity of all employees is vital to our organization and is everyone's responsibility. We must treat all people based on their individual merits and treat all employees with dignity and respect. We must always have unyielding integrity and always do the right thing and constantly be a good role model. Brand regards environmental protection as a vital component of its business philosophy and expects this to be adopted by our employees, suppliers, and clients. We will comply with applicable laws, regulations, and standards. We will ensure that hazards to public health and damage to the environment due to company activities are minimized with a goal of elimination. We will evaluate the impact of company operations, purchasing practices, and policies on the environment. We will provide effective environmental protection measures, and we will repair environmental damage attributed to company activities. Major spills should only be cleaned by trained employees, and all incidents are to be recorded. Personal use of cell phones in the workplace is prohibited. They should never be used in an operating unit of a refinery or petrochemical facility. Cell phones are allowed only if used for company business or do not present a safety hazard. Brand is committed to providing employees with a drug and alcohol-free workplace. The use of alcohol or controlled substances without a prescription at the workplace is strictly prohibited and may result in immediate termination. Employees are required to be drug and alcohol free while on work premises. Use, sale, possession, or distribution of drugs or alcohol is strictly prohibited. Employees are required to notify their supervisor if they are taking medications that may impair their ability to perform their job. This includes over-the-counter medications. Some prescription and non-prescription medications may have side effects, which could endanger your safety or the safety of others. Alcohol and drug screening can take place for a variety of reasons: pre-employment, random, reasonable cause, post-incident, including property damage, pre-assignment, or to satisfy client requirements. Any employee taking prescription or over-the-counter medications must inform their supervisor if it poses a safety hazard due to dizziness, drowsiness, nausea, or other side effects.
The Supervisor Observation System is a behavior-based safety system that everyone in supervision is required to participate. Safety observations actively encourage the entire workforce to be involved in managing safety and generates greater safety awareness, both individually and collectively. This system engages the frontline leaders and management in maintaining the safety of their team members. The Safety Observation System drives peer-to-peer intervention at a frontline supervisor level, which is used to eliminate at-risk behaviors and conditions with their crews. Accountability is driven by standard work at all levels of the organization, ensuring action for opportunities. The Employee Intervention and Suggestion Program, EIS or EYES, is Brand's peer-to-peer behavior-based safety system for craft level. Although a brand company program, EYES, encourages intervention with brand and non-brand employees as well, all brand employees are obligated to intervene with other employees engaging in unsafe behavior. EYES fosters and documents peer-to-peer safety intervention in order to further minimize unsafe behavior in the workplace, while providing an avenue for employees to make suggestions for workplace condition and/or process improvements. Brand's EYES program is designed to support the Supervisor Observation System. This is the end of the presentation. Your supervisor or safety representative will now review all site-specific safety requirements with you and will provide you a copy of the quiz. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please ask your supervisor or safety representative.